Dear participants, I welcome you all for the day 3, session 2. This session will be handled by Mr. C. Mohan Raj, Assistant Professor, Department of EEE, Sri Ishwar College of Engineering, on the topic configuration and demonstration of industrial pick and place robotic arm using RT Toolbox 3. So, a short profile about the session speaker. So, Mr. C. Mohan Raj completed his UG in EEE department in the year of 2010. He worked as a PLC programmer for 1.5 years in a reputed industry. He has completed his ME in the branch of PED in the year 2014. He has nearly 9 years of teaching experience and 1.5 years of industrial experience. So now he is working as an assistant professor in the Department of EEE at Ishwar College of Engineering. So he is the faculty in charge for Mitsubishi Authorized Training Center established at Sri Ishwar College of Engineering, and he is the coordinator for this Atal FDP. So now we hand over the session to Mohan Raj, sir.
So thank you, Mr. Prem Kumar sir, for your kind introduction. I hope I am audible to all. Can anyone respond in chat box, dear professor? Am I audible? Okay. Thank you, Akshat sir. Thank you for your response. Now I am sharing my screen. So please let me know whether it is visible or not. Okay. I think the screen is visible to you. So I thank Sri Ishwar College of Engineering and Department of EEE, our Professor Rajan Babu sir. He is the coordinator of Atal FDP. So I thank both of them for giving the opportunity to act as a resource person in this Atal sponsored 1 week faculty development program. Right, I think for the past 2 days you have enjoyed this program, right? And today my part is I am going to handle the session on session about the configuration and demonstration of industrial pick and place robotic arm using RT Toolbox 3. I think in the session 1, right, Muttappa sir would have taken about the topic of how to configure the robot using RT Toolbox 3 and how to choose the robot based on their applications and different types of logging. I think he has done all those things using the RT Toolbox 3 simulation part. But today I am going to show how to operate the robot practically. So that is the task which is given to me. Okay. Okay, let us go to the topic. I think you might have seen this machine, right? This machine is a robotic arm. So here there are 3 robots are there. One is in dead condition, right? One which is not operating condition. Another 2 robots are working parallelly. So here it is an industrial robot. So generally, what is meant by industrial robot? So it is a machine, right? The machine which is fed with an artificial intelligence, we call it as it is a robot, right? So it can think based on your program, and it can take the decision based on its experience. It may be past experience or it may be a present, right? So whatever it may be, it learns something from the past experience. That is an intelligence, artificial intelligence. So some type of program we have to feed it to the brain. The brain is nothing but it may be a CPU, right? It may be a microcontroller, or it may be a PLC, or it may be any DSP processor. Anyway, you have to teach something to that particular robot. So based on your instruction only, the robotic arm will work. So it is a hardware, right? So what you are seeing in the screen, it is completely a hardware. So it is like our body. If you want to automate that hardware, you need a soul, right? The soul is nothing but it is your program. So that soul can be created from the software platform, right? So if we are using a Mitsubishi robot, we are using RT Toolbox 3. or if you are using a Siemens robot or KUKA robot, the software will be different. But anyway, the way of writing the coding, the way of teaching, and the way of hardware used in that robot, that will be same, right? If you know one path now, okay, if you know one software, then you can learn other software. So here it is a robotic arm. So usually it is a general definition of an industrial robot. An industrial robot is a robot system used for manufacturing, right? So I will tell you about the short history of industrial robot in the next slide. And industrial robots are automated. How it is automated? You have to automate that. How can we automate? Using some software, right? Because the hardware alone will not play any role in the industry. You need a software to automate that robot. So it is an industrial automated robot, right? And it is automated and programmable. So for that only we need a software and capable of movement on 3 or more than axis, more than 3 axis, right? Your application requires some motion, right? It may be a linear motion, or it may be a circular motion, or some kind of Cartesian or spherical coordinate movement. At the time, you have to increase the number of axes, right? It means number of independent axes has to be increased. Then only you can move the robot in any directions. Otherwise, what will happen that you can move the robot only in the Cartesian axis. If you want to move it in a cylindrical or spherical or any orthogonal system, now it is not possible. That's why we have to design a robot with 3 axes or less than 3 axis or more than 3 axis. It is based on our application and based on our requirement, right? Okay. I think these two robots we have seen in our previous session, right? It is a Cartesian robot. Why it is Cartesian robot? Can anyone type it in chat box? So this is a Cartesian robot, right? I hope you know the coordinates of Cartesian system X, Y, Z. Let us see the movement of this robot. In this animation, it is a simple thing, right? It is a simple artificial machine. So I am calling it as a robot, right? So it is a Cartesian robot. It does only a dedicated task, right? So it takes the workpiece from the conveyor and it places the workpiece on this particular arrangement, right? And the work table. It does only the job. In order to complete this task, it moves only in y direction and negative y direction. That's why it is a 2-axis robot. Why it is 2-axis? So one is moving in y direction. The another thing is, right, the gripper or the tool which is moving in z direction, positive z and negative z. So there are 2-axis movements are there. That's why it is a Cartesian robot or 2-axis robot. But in the second image, I have shown one more robot, right? I think this robot is available in our institution. So it is a 1, 2, 3, 6-axis robot. It means what? 6-axis means there are 6 individual motors are there. The 6 individual motors, 6 axis, it can move independently. It doesn't depend each other. So it is a pick and place robot. I have shown it in that animation. So it accurately picks the particular workpiece from the destination point, from the source point, and it places the workspace in the accurate destination point. So if everything is happening, my voice is not audible. Now it is audible, sir. Audible.
Yes, sir, your voice is audible, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. So it is a pick and place robot, right? So this application, it demands only 2 axes. That's why they have installed these kind of machines. But if your application demands these kind of applications, right, pick and place applications, some painting and welding applications, you have to go for, or you have to carefully choose the number of axes. Now it is not audible, sir. Is it audible, sir? Hello? Okay. So anyway, let us give a short history of an industrial robot. Usually it is an industrial robotica. Everything comes from the text, right? Everything comes, it begins from the imagination. That imagination, it may be represented in the form of book, right? So whatever people are thinking in their mind, definitely they will write the next step, they will write in some other text or in the paper, right? Similarly, in the 9th century, there was a text, science fiction text that was released in the name of Science of Ingenious Mechanisms, right? Where they were telling about the artificial humans, artificial machines. And based on that content which was written in the Science of Ingenious Mechanisms, in the year of 1921, there was a play, right? Science fiction play was happened. The name is Rosium's Universal Robot. I think Vinod sir also has mentioned the same statement. That is available in the YouTube. You can watch that. And 1950, right? 1950, the numerically controlled machines were developed, right? So NC machines, simply called NC machines. So usually it is a development period, right? Now we are living in Industry 4.0. Before Industry 4.0, that is, just think about the origin of electricity. People were invented the electricity. After that, some gas operated valves are coming. After that, gas operated valves, the logic gates were developed. After the development of logic gates only, people were moved to microcontroller and microprocessor. So that time, 1950, these numerical controlled machines were developed based on the logical gates. And after that, in 1954, there was a demand for an automation, right? There was a demand for an automation. So the Charles Devil, he often called the father of robotics, who invented who developed the first industrial robotic arm, right? I just want to confirm that my voice is audible. Please tell me in chat box, because I am presenting from another system. That's why I'm asking you. The hosting system will be taken care by some other person. So please let me know my voice is audible. Okay. So Charles Devil, he is the father of robotics, who developed the first industrial robot to the world. So he started the company called Unimation. That Unimate was the first robot, right? I'll show the first robot in the next slide. And after the development of first robot, there was a huge investment on that. There was a huge research on that. And 1963, the first 6-jointed Rancho arm was created to assist the handicap. Okay, the people were making the robot. Initially, the people were not making the robot for industry. They were making the robot only for some additional works like assistance works. So that way, the 6-jointed Rancho arm was created to assist the handicap. Then after that, what will happen? 1967, ABB, Asian Brown Brewery, developed the first commercial spray painting robot. Right? It was not a pick and place robot. It was not a welding robot. The first commercial robot that is developed for the purpose of painting. Right? And 1974, okay, here we have a microcontroller. Right? In 1948, I think so, the transistor were developed. After the invention of transistor, the IC technologies was developed in the Bell Laboratory. So people were created the microcontroller and microprocessor, right? After the invention of microprocessor in this era, 1974, that is MIT developed a robotic arm to perform a precise assembly using touch and pressure sensor and microcomputer, right? This was the first automated robot which was developed by the MIT. But in case of first robot, that was completely operated by the hydraulic and pneumatics, right? There was no electricity, or there was no electric controller there in the animation robot. And after that, General Motors and big companies are investing more on this particular robotics area. And 2010, huge acceleration in demand due to continued innovative development and improvement of industrial. Now we have a lot of companies, those who are making the robots, right? So that's all about the short history of industrial robot. I don't want to take more time for spending to explain the theory concepts. Straight away, I would like to get to the practical part. Okay. So the Unimate is the first industrial robot. This picture, it is the actual view of Unimate, the first industrial robot. It was hydraulic manipulator arm that could perform repetitive tasks. It does only the repetitive task, right? So it was used by car maker to automate metal working and welding process. I will play the video. You can see the operation of animation robot. So Unimate is the first robot, right? It is an Unimate robot. It is completely operated by the hydraulic. So the range of the robot is 7 feet, and the company who is manufacturing that robot is Unimation. So it picks the glass and it plays the sugar or something, right? Which is transferred to some other glass, another glass. So this is how the Unimate robot works. I think the audio is. Can you hear the audio of this particular thing? Are you able to hear the audio? Audio part of this? Hear the audio? Okay. So this is the first robot. So let us talk about Mitsubishi industrial robot. So there are many classification, industrial robot classification in Mitsubishi. One of the famous robot is a horizontal multiple joint robot. So usually the horizontal type robot, it starts with the letter RH. RH3FH series. RH means it is a horizontal robot. So see, it has a multiple joints, right? 1, 2, 3. There are many joints are there, right? So I think you have seen this type of robot in Mustafa presentation. So it does this particular job. It picks the object from the conveyor and it places it on the another conveyor. Right? So it is an example for a horizontal multiple joint robot. The base is, look at the base of the robot, right? The base of the robot, wait a minute. It is a vertical robot, right? It is a vertical robot, and in this horizontal robot, the base of the robot which is fixed on the work table, the base of the robot which is fixed on the work table, and if you see the vertical multiple joint robot, this robot comes under the vertical multiple or vertical. Vertical means the first letter is V, so that's why it starts with the letter RV, 2F series. 2 is a payload, the maximum weight the robot can lift, right? F is a controller, the controller which is used to control the robot. It is a F series controller. So it is RV. Okay, this is our next robot. Are you able to see that horizontal type ceiling mount type robot in your screen? My screen is visible, right? Or is there any delay? Look at the speed of operation of industrial robot at SCE. So we have a 6-axis industrial robot, right? So whose series is, yes, now it is visible, I think. Mitsubishi industrial robot at SCE. So here we have a 6-axis industrial robot. So this is the actual view of an industrial robot. So the size of the robot, it is the weight of the robot is 19 kg, but if you see the robot is the base, this is the actual size of the robot. Okay, what is inside the control panel? We have right. I'll show you the components and the controllers which are available inside the right. RD is a vertical type robot. It is not horizontal. Right? X is nothing but IQF controllers are used here, and B is nothing but how many axes are there? There are 6 axes there. Right? There are 6 axes present in the robot. The 6 axes are brake enabled. The brake is enabled for all the 6 axes. It means you cannot move the handle, right? You cannot move the gripper as you like, right? Because the brake is enabled. Okay, if you want to move the arm, then you have to unlock the brake. So that's why naturally the brake is available in the robot, and Q is nothing but how the robot is controlled by Q series PLC. So that is the name of the expansion behind or the knowledge behind the RV2FBQ. Okay. So if you see that RV2FBQ, I told there are 6 axes. So this is a J1 axis, joint one, or we call it as a J1, and we call it as base. This is a base, right? This is a waist, and this is a J2 axis, right? Positive mean it can move in forward direction, negative mean it can move in reverse direction, or positive mean forward rotation, negative mean reverse rotation. So this is a J2, or we call it as a shoulder. Right? And the third one is an upper arm, right? It is an upper arm J3 axis. This is an J3 axis. It can move in forward direction as well as the reverse direction. Okay? And the fourth axis is a J4 axis. It can rotate clockwise or counterclockwise direction. We call it as an elbow. Here it is a force arm. Here it is an elbow. And we have a J5 axis is there. And we have one more motor, servo motor, which is acting as a J6 axis. So here you have to place the tool. It may be a painting robot, or it may be a welding, it may be some pick and place robot, or it may be some other kind of robot, right? The robots are classified based on the tools what you are going to fix in this particular site. Right? Here I am going to fix a gripper, right? The gripper which is used for pick and place application. It picks the object from one place and place the object in some other place. So based on the tools, we have to classify that, and you have to design and you have to choose the robotic motor based on the application. Right? So this robot can lift up to 2 kg. You cannot use this same robot for picking the car body, right? The body of the car, it may be some 50 kg, right? It may be 50 kg. This robot, it cannot with the standard, cannot with the 50 kg weight, because the motors available, or the motor which is fixed in the robot, which is not sufficient to produce a torque to pull the 50 kg. So that's why these robots are used only for 2 kg application, because the pickup load is which is decided based on the motor rating, right, and gripper rating. Okay, I told how to identify the robot model. So this is a general series of general representation of any Mitsubishi robot. It is RV2FL. The symbol is there. RV means, I told it is a vertical type robot. If it is a Harishna, it is a horizontal type robot. And RV2F is a series. And what about this triangle, right? So L means what? L means that it is a long arm type. If there is no L, it is a short arm type. I will tell you the maximum range of the robot. If it is long, it may be greater than 1 meter, right? And if it is a triangle, in this here indicates that the existence of brake. Suppose if J2, J3, J5, if B means what? All the axes have brake. If there is no letter here, J2, J3 and J5 axis have brake. Other axis, it doesn't have a brake. That is the meaning. B is nothing but, here we are using RV2FB. So B means all the axes have a brake. And what about this dot, circular dot indicate? It indicates the controller type. This robot is controlled by what? It controlled by CRC750 controller, right? CR750 controller, or if it is 1 means, then it is a CR751 controller. So here what is Q? Q is indicates the controller type. Here IQ platform is used. IQ is nothing but it is a PLC. The PLC will give the signal to this controller. The controller will do the operation of at the moment of servo motor. And one more thing is that, right, this diamond represent, it is a technical standard for conformity. If there is no letter here now, no conformity of technical standard. If one mean it is a CE standard, right? It has a CE certified robot. And the last three letters, it represents the special model in order to limit the special specification. If the robots are used in pharma industry or some other specific applications of Dina, then they will mention these things, right? So this is how you have to identify. Now with the help of this image, try to identify the type of robot and payload of robot and the braking capacity or the braking status of the controller type, everything you can identify with the help of this image. RV to payload, F is a series, and B means all axes have a brake. Q means indicates the controller. IQ platform is used. I'll open the PLC software, how to program and how to configure the robot. Everything I'll teach in this particular session. There are six is the degree of freedom of this particular robot. It means 6 joints can move independently. So both are independent, not dependent. Okay, you can move J1 axis alone, you can move J2 axis alone. Similarly, you can move J3, J4, J5, J6. Okay, it doesn't wait for another axis movement. All the axes it can move independently. That's why it is called degree of freedom is 6. And what about the drive systems here used? In order to move the joint one, right? In order to move the joint one and J1 to J6, we are using AC servo motors, not DC servo motor. Here the drive system is AC servo motor. So if you want to drive the AC servo motor, you need to produce a power signal as well as the control signal, right? The power signal and control signal is delivered from the CR751 controller. I'll show you, right? I'll show you controller. And what about position detect? So since it is a servo motor, servo means what? It is a closed loop, right? Servo means it is a closed. You cannot run the servo motor in open loop condition, right? It always requires a feedback. The feedback means the position of the rotor. The position of the rotor is captured from the encoder. What type of encoder is used here? Here the encoder is absolute encoder is used here, right? So we are using an absolute encoder. What about the arm length? The maximum reach, the maximum length the robot can reach is 504 mm, right? Around 50 centimeters the robot can move or it can reach. And here I have mentioned the operating range. It is like our head now. We cannot rotate our head for the entire 360 degrees. So there is a limitation. So here also for every axis there is a limitation. For if it is a waist J1 axis now minus 250, 242 plus 240 and show shoulder now minus 120 to plus 120. If it is an elbow 0 to 760. Tool can move plus 360 to minus 360. It means it can rotate either in clockwise direction or it can rotate in counterclockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction. So that is the speciality of J6 axis, right? And what about the maximum resultant velocity? Resultant velocity is 4950 meter mm per second, right? It can move 495 centimeter or approximately 5 meter per seconds. That is the velocity. Resultant means you should not, or you have to consider all the axes, right? It is like an RMS value. So the maximum resultant velocity of all the axes is 4950 mm per second. You should not specify only J1, J2, J3. Okay. We have to consider the resultant value of all the axes. And load. The maximum load the robo can lift at this particular range is only 2 kg, right? And what about the weight of, excuse me, the weight of the robot? The weight of the robot is 19 kg. Okay, I am not including the base weight. Excuse me. sorry for the interruption. So all the axes have a brake. Okay, that's all about the technical specification of RV 2FPQ series robot. Let us see the hardware details, right? So what is that? You see the image, right? I told you, it is only the robotic arm. What about this black color box indicates? Do you know the answer? If you know the answer, you can type it in chat box. This part. So any idea about that? Or if you don't know, or if you are not remember that answer, you can type it in chat box. Okay, I'll tell you. So this is a robotic arm, right? This is a robotic arm. And this black color box indicates it is a teaching pendant. You have to teach where to move, and you have to teach where to pick the point, or where to pick the workspace. And you have to teach all those things, right, with the help of this. So it is an input, right? And this one is a pneumatic gripper. So here, this is a tool, right? This is a tool. So you can fix your own tool. So it is a pneumatic gripper. It means it hold the object with the help of pneumatic. There is no electromagnetic gripper. Here we are using a pneumatic gripper, which is completely operated based on the pneumatic supply. And these are the control switches. These are the control switches which are used in the robot. And what is inside that? This is a control panel. So I'll show you the internal part or the inside view of the control panel in a future slide. And this is a robotic controller. Here you have to place the robotic controller. And one more thing is that how to hold the object, or how to hold the object now. If you want to hold the object with the help of your finger, how will you do that? First you will open the finger, then you will go to, you will move the finger to that particular object, then you will close the finger, right? So similarly, you have to open the gripper, and once the object is reached, then you have to close the gripper. So in order to open and close the gripper, you need a power, right? So that power is obtained from the pneumatic. So who will switch on there? Who will supply the R, or who will control the R? The R is controlled by the solenoid valve. When the first solenoid valve is on, it will open. When the second solenoid will be on, means it will be closed, right? It will be closing. So the on off of the gripper, the opening and closing of the gripper can be controlled by the solenoid valve, right? And this is an air compressor. The air compressor which supplies the compressed air. In this robot, it doesn't require more than 10 bar pressure, right? 2 bar is sufficient to hold the 2 kg weight, right? So the robot operating pneumatic pressure is only 2 bar. You should not increase the pressure more than 2 bar. It may damage the incoming valves, right? So these are the exact front view of the robot. So here it is, there is a motor is available. It is for our project use, right? And here it is an air hose is there. So this is an air incoming part. The incoming air which is passes through the solenoid. So based on the switching action of solenoid, the airflow will be diverted. The air, how it reaches the gripper? With the help of this air hose, the pneumatics are there. It will reaches the gripper. So based on the direction of airflow, the gripper will open or it will be closed. And this setup is also for our project work. Apart from that, we have some buttons on the work table on the robotic learning panel. So only this first symbol, the first push button of the selector switch, which is for operation on, right? And the second switch, which is used to turn on or which is used to enable the servo motors, right? There are 6 joints are there, or 6 axes are there. Each axis contains individual servo motor. So definitely we will have 6 servo motor, right? We will have 6 servo motor in this robot. This, how will you enable all the servo motor? With the help of the switches, right? If you put servo on, mean all will be enabled. It means it is ready to run. And here you can start the robot using the start button. You can stop the operation using the stop button. And here auto manual, there are two options are there. So why we are preferring manual operation now? If you are initially if you are programming your robot, you cannot directly put it in auto mode. You cannot straight away, you cannot run the robot, right? You have to test it. You have to test your coding, whether the robot it moves correct direction or not, whether the robot it moves desired position or not, based on your coding. So you have to test it. How will you test your coding, right? So you have to put it in manual mode. With the help of teaching pendant, you have to execute your code one by one, right? So for each line, the robot it will respond, right? If suppose if you are writing the code move P1 to P2 now, if you execute that particular line, the robotic arm will move from P1 to P2. So you can ensure that whether my robot is correctly working as per the coding or not. So that is the purpose of manual mode, right? Or if you want to jog, or if you want to teach your robot, initially during the first time of programming, you have to teach the robot. Here you have to start, then you have to move that particular point. After that, you have to move to that particular point P2. Then finally, you have to reach the destination. That is called teaching, right? You have to teach all the positions where the robot wants to move. So that is for that we need a manual mode. Once the programming is done, right? Once the programming is done, you no need to operate the robot in manual mode. Just put it in auto mode and try to execute that. The robot will continuously work as per your program. So that is an auto mode here. And we have one more switch is available, that is the reset switch. What is the purpose of reset switch? If there is any interruption, if there is any error, right? Or if there is any malfunction in that robot, sometimes the battery may low, right? It may show some warning. At the time your robot, it will not operate. If you want to ignore that error, if you want to reset that error, you can use this button, reset button. So all the errors can be resetted, right? You cannot reset all the errors. Suppose if the emergency push button is pressed, at the time if you turn on the servo on now, it will show some error. Emergency signal is present. At the time, you cannot reset such kind of error, right? So you have to pay your attention on such kind of error. If the error is some medium type of severity, now you can reset that error, right? And one more thing is that e-stop is there. E-stop means that is an emergency stop. What is the purpose of emergency stop? Suppose, right, if the robot is hitting somewhere, if the robot is not working properly, there is because of coding fault or because of any power fluctuation, the robotic arm, it may hit in this particular part of the now, you have to immediately stop the robot. How will you immediately stop the robot? You have to cut down the power supply. So that's why e-stop push button is here. So there are two e-stop push button is available. One is on the teaching pendant, another is on the panel, right? And one more thing is the power on off. Power on off to turn on and turn off the power. So that is the part of hardware robotic arm. So far if you have any doubt, you can type it in chat box. Otherwise, I will proceed. I'll show you, sir. I'll show you, Professor Aragyam Sami, sir. CR751 for robotic controller. To give a to control the servo on and control switches, we are using one more PLC, that is a QPLC, Q04 PLC, sir. And this is a pneumatic supply detail. We need a compressed air for the movement of gripper, right? You can see the movement of gripper in this video. So here I am manually moving the gripper. It is in closed position, now it is in open condition. But you have to achieve the same thing via the automation, via the pneumatics, right? There are two airflows are there, right? There are two air pipes is there. If the air is flowing through the first pipe, then the pneumatic will open, the gripper will open. When the air is flowing through the second pipe or second hose, then the gripper will be closed, right? So based on the pneumatic air supply, the gripper will be opened or it will be closed. And on the back side of the robot, you have some pneumatic tubes. It is an input air, and these incoming air is controlled via the solenoid valve, and the controlled air which is given to the robot, right? And with the help of this air tube, it reaches the gripper. So the minimum pressure is required to operate the gripper is 2 bar. Okay, and this is a pneumatic gripper. I think the next session that will be completely about selection of gripper. That will be handled by Dr. Prabhakaran, sir. Okay, this is a teaching pendant. Okay, if you want to do the program, you don't need a software, right? You don't need a separate RT toolbox software for programming your robot. You can do the program from the teaching pendant itself. You can run the program with the help of this teaching pendant. You can test it, and everything is possible with the help of this handy, right, teaching pendant. So this is one more emergency push button which is available on the teaching pendant. If there is any emergency during the programming, you can press this immediately. The robot will stop. And this is an actual view of a control panel. Sir, you asked me about that controller now. So there are two controllers are used. One is a robotic controller. Another one is for a Q series controller, which is used to control the control switches: servo on, servo off, emergency push button, and one more thing, reset push button, and operation on. All the push buttons, all the switches are connected in this Q type series controller, Q series PLC. Okay, and we have taken a cable, right, USB cable from the robot CPU. You have to connect this cable. The another end of the cable has to be connected with your laptop for a programming purpose. So these are the MCBs and relays, and some clip-on terminals are available. The major thing is we are using two type of controller. One is a robot controller, another one is a Q series controller, QPLC. Controller mean it is a PLC, sir. It is full and full PLC controlled. There is no DSP controller, there is no PIC microcontroller or 8051. It is full and full controlled by PLC. And this is a CR751 robotic controller, CR751Q controller. So how many controllers are there in here? There are three controllers. So one is a two PLC and one robotic controller, right? So AC servo motor power cable. So I told you, sir, there are six axes are there. There are six axes in the robotic arm. Six axes means there are six servo motors are there, right? So anyway, you have to supply a power to all the servo motors. Who will supply the power to all the servo motor? Your power electronic converter and inverter system, it will give a supply to all the servo motor. It is like a VFD, right? You have an induction motor, we have an AC source. In between, we have an VFD. Inside the VFD, we have a AC to DC converter, again DC to AC converter called inverter, right? So that inverter which is connected to the induction machine. So similarly, since there are six servo motor, similarly here there are six servo motor, you have to supply a variable voltage and variable frequency to all the servo motor. That power electronic controllers are available here, CR751. If you open that box, you can see a lot of IGBTs, lot of transistor. It may be a MOSFET, right? If it is a low power motor, you can go for MOSFET. If it is a high power machine, you should select a IGBT based inverter. So all those things are available. So if it is an inverter, definitely you need a PWM. So who will produce the PWM signal? The PWM signal is nothing but it is the control signal. So based on the PWM, your motor will move. If the motor moves, then automatically, then next step is your robotic arm will move. So if you want to move the robotic arm for 1 mm, you have to produce or you have to supply the PWM for your inverter, okay, for a certain time. The width of PWM, the frequency of PWM and supplying time duration, that will be controlled by PLC, robot control. So it is a major one, right? So I told you, there is a teaching pendant is available, black color box is available. With the help of that, you can do the teaching pendant is connected with this robotic controller, CR751Q controller. And these are the cables that some of the cables may belong to encoder part and some of the cables may belong to, we call it as a SS cable, servo synchronous cable. I'll show it to you. So here, I told you now, there are three controller. One is the robotic controller. Another one is this is a robotic PLC. Another one is a robotic controller. How these two controllers are connected? These two controllers are connected with the help of optical cable. Because optical cable is usually high-speed transmission. Data transmission and data. ability. That's why we are preferring the optical cable. These two cables are connected here. I think here you can see. So this is one PLC, another PLC. So the second PLC which take care about all the control switches. The first PLC which take care about the control signal which need to be given to the robotic controller. So inside the robotic controller, we have an IGBT based inverter or MOSFET based inverter. Okay, since we have a 6 motor, 6 drive system will be there, right? And this is for RV type robot, and if you are using a RS type series robot, you can use this, right? So this is for R series. And this setup we call it as IQ platform, right? This entire setup we call it as an IQ platform. So I'll show you the actual view of all those things with the help of this video. You can't hear the audio, right? I'll speak. So this is an actual view of our RV2F-BQ series. So these are the control buttons. So now you can turn on and turn off the operation on, and servo on off button is there, and start stop button, and manual and auto button is the selection button is there, reset button, emergency button, and power on power off. And this is the robotic component. So on the top of teaching panel, you can see the emergency push button. With the help of this button, you can do the programming and you can control the robotic operations manually. And I'll show you the axis or joints. It is a gripper, right? It is a gripper which is operated based on the air or pneumatic supply. It is an air hose, right? The high pressure air which is flowing through the air hose, and which is the gripper. On the back side, and this is the J1 axis. Now is in initial position or safe position, and J2, J3. So this is one more joint is there. J3 is there. On the top we have one more motor, J4 and J5. So finally we have a J6. This J6 can move up to plus 360 degree, minus 360 degree. And let us see the back side of the robot. So here there are many tubes are coming, right? These are the air tubes, right? The controlled air which is passes into the robot. These are the solenoid valves. So there are 2 solenoid valves are used here. So 4 solenoid valves are used. And in order to regulate the pressure, I am using this control valve. So as yellow color tube is connected, yellow color tube is coming from the compressor. The high pressure air which is flowing into that control valve, the pressure is regulated to 2 bar. Then the regulated air is supplied to the solenoid valve. The solenoid valve you will turn on and turn off based on your program, so that the gripper will be controlled. This is a compressor. And one more thing, what is inside the control panel? I'll show you that. I told you, no, inside the control panel there are 2 PLCs are used. Inside the control panel there are 2 PLCs are used. The red color box, it is a power supply. It is a Q64DVU, right? It is a robot CPU. The second one is a Q04 CPU. So whatever the program we are writing with the help of RT Toolbox 3 that will store in the robot CPU. So it is a power supply, and digital input, digital output module is there, MCB is there, and some clip-on terminals are there, right? I think if we explain that the entire wiring part, it will take more than 2 hours or 3 hours. I just want to stop that. And the third one, I would like to show about the Robotica. What is inside this? So inside that we have a CR751 controller. So here the power electronic system which is used to drive all the servo motors which is available here, right? CR751Q controller. There is an optical cable. I told you, no, there is an optical cable is available. This is an optical cable. This one, optical. This is an optical cable is available which connects the CR751 controller with the robotic PLC. and these are the power cables, right? It is an AC incoming supply is 230 volt, 50 hertz AC supply, and these are the power cables which are connected with your servo motors, and this cable which is connected to teaching pendant, right? It means the teaching pendant is connected with the robotic teaching pendant, right? The teaching pendant which is connected with the robotic controller. Okay, that's all about the hardware part. And before getting to the program, we must know about the coordinate systems, right? So the robot, it can move in any directions. It may be a Cartesian axis, or it may be in a cylindrical platform, or conical platform, or a spherical platform. Anyway, you need to move the gripper on all the directions. So how will you represent all the directions? All the directions means you have to specify the points, source points and destination points. The points can be represented in the coordinate systems, right? So let us see about a short introduction about the coordinate system. After that, I'll show you how to operate the robot practically. So how a monkey will catch the banana. So here the monkey is there, the banana is here, right? How the monkey will catch the banana. So the one way to catch the banana, the monkey can move here, right? It may move some x distance. After that, it may move in wide distance. Then after that, it may move in z directions or z distance. Finally, it catches the banana. So this is an x, y, z. It is a Cartesian thing, right? So this is x, y, and z. X distance, y distance, z distance. Similarly, you can move the robotic gripper, right? Robotic arm in x distance alone, y distance alone, and z distance alone. So this is one way to move your robotic arm. So why should I move my robotic arm? Because you have to teach the robotic arm. You have to teach the robotic system. So then only the robot will move your desired directions, right? Desired points. If you want to pick up object from a particular work table now, you have to teach the object position. Otherwise, the robotic arm it will not know. It will never know, right? You have to teach that. So this is a Cartesian. If it is a cylindrical, means how the robotic arm will move. This monkey is analogous to a robotic arm, right? So here the monkey, since if it is an intelligent monkey, it won't go for x distance, y distance, and z distance. It will directly go to this particular point, right? The projection point, and finally it jumps from there and it catches the banana. So if you make a distance, right, from origin to that particular projection point, it is a rho, and this angle is azimuthal angle phi, and the height of the point of projection of the banana is z, right? So this cylindrical system, we call it as rho by z, right? Whenever you want to jog your robotic arm or a tool, the teaching pendant it will ask you to enter which mode you want to move, right? You have to move the robotic arm with the help of Cartesian, or you have to move it in a joint mode or cylindrical mode or spherical mode. It will ask you, right? So these things are we don't want that. Okay. Anyway, rho pi z is a Cartesian. Suppose if it is a spherical coordinate system now, the monkey it will not go to the projection point. Straight away it will jump towards the banana. With the help of that arch, it will land at here. It will be landing here. So it is r, and this angle is theta and phi. So these points are required whenever you teach a robot. So it is a spherical coordinate system points. We don't require that. Okay, I'll show you how to move the gripper. How to move the gripper, or jogging means you are moving the robot in a slow speed, right? How to move the tool or robotic arm manually, I'll show you. So right now I am showing only in the Cartesian form. So this is the teaching pendant, and with the help of this button I am going to jog my robot. So here you have to press jog. Initially you have to press jog. It will ask what type of mode, right? It will ask you to choose the mode of operation. Whether I need to move the robot in Cartesian or cylindrical or spherical or individual joint mode. So I am choosing Cartesian form. sorry, joint mode. I am choosing joint mode. Joint mode means you can individually move all the servo motor. You can individually move the servo motor. There are 6 servo motors are there. You can move the individual servo motors. So here it is J1. J1 means it may move in clockwise direction or it may move in counterclockwise direction. So now it is moving in counterclockwise direction. Now I am pressing J1. So J1 axis alone is moving. Similarly, if I want to move J2 axis alone now, you have to press J2. It means it is Y. It may, this joint is moving. Only this joint is moving. It may move in upward direction or downward direction. Similarly, for Z or J3, not Z, it is a J3 axis. Next, J4 axis. This is a J4 axis. And this is also J4 in counterclockwise direction. Next, J5. The last one is a J6. It is J5. Now I am pressing J6. J6 is moving. So if you want to bring the robot to initial position now, you have to press P safe. Safe means it will go to its origin position or initial position. So this is how you can move the, or you can do the jog operation with the help of teaching pendant, right? Okay, I hope you know the procedure to configuration of robot using RT Toolbox 3. The class was taken by Mustafa sir. Anyway, I'll play the video for that. So how do you program a robot? We need a software. That software name is called RT Toolbox 3. The software name is RT Toolbox 3. You double click on RT Toolbox 3, right? If you double click the software environment, you can see the software environment. The software will be opened. So here you have to choose a new project. Go to workspace and create a new. You have to choose a folder where you want to save your project. So my workspace name, I have given it as a new, right? Or I can give it as a square movement. After creating that, it will ask you to enter the following details. You have to choose type of robot and payload, everything. So here the project name, you can choose it. You can change it as your wish. And the second thing, it will ask you to choose the series. What type of controller is used? We are using CR750, right? CR751 Q series controller. So I am using CR750 Q series controller. And what about the type of robot? It is a RV vertical type 6-axis robot whose payload is 2 kg. It can lift up to 2 kg load. And if it is in this particular series, n number of robots, 3, 4, 5 series or 5 models are available. Here you have to choose the specific particular robotic model from the list. So here I am choosing RV2FB Q series because it is in our laboratory. You should not choose another thing, right? You have to carefully choose the correct one. Then after that, you have to make a communication between your PLC as well as your computer. How the PLC and computers are connected? PLC and computers are connected with the help of USB cable. That's why I have chosen USB. Then after that, you have to choose the language and travel axis. And here you can set the velocity, right? So these things doesn't required. It will be automatically taken, and the tool and weight and size, it is already available, right? You no need to change all those things. So once it is completed now, whether you want to move it in online mode or offline mode. So, right? So you can move it to online mode or offline mode. Now I have chosen online mode. So here in this navigator or in the workspace, you can see now it is in online mode, right? Here you can see the list of programs which are already available in the PLC, right? So where the program will be stored, whatever the program you are creating with the help of RT Toolbox 3, that will be stored in the PLC, not in the CR751Q. CR751Q is just a driver. So who is driving the CR751Q? Your PLC, which gives the control signal. That control signal, it may reaches the driver. Based on the control signal, it may move all the servo motors. So that is the thing. So whatever the program you are creating with the help of RT Toolbox 3, all the programs that will be stored in the PLC, not in your CR751Q controller. So dear professor, please keep that point. So here you have to create that point. So now I am creating a new point, a new program here. Right click on the program and click new, and you can give your own title. Here I am giving square or a rectangle, right? Here I am giving rectangle. No, it is recorded one, right? Rectangle. So the program will be displayed here. So right. So after that, here I have created the program rectangle, but the program is not listed out here. One, you have to compile that and you have to save that. If the program is properly downloaded into the PLC now, you can see or you can access the program in this left side drop down list box. So here you can create the program with the help of instructions, and after that you can download the program into the PLC. I think the session is already taken by Muttappa sir. I don't want to repeat it again. Right? I hope you know the procedure, how to configure the robot using RT Toolbox 3. Now I am showing the demonstration alone. Okay, what are the basic instructions to create the program? With the help of this instruction only, I am going to show the demonstration. So there are less than 10 fundamental instructions are there. If you know that these fundamental instructions, you can create your own program. The first instruction is the move instructions. If you want to move the robotic arm from one point to another point, you can use this instruction. So move, it means move from P1 to P2. P1 means point 1 to point 2. And MBS, there is a huge difference between move and MBS. So both are moving the robotic arm from P1 to P2, but there is a fundamental difference between move and MBS. What is move? P1 to P2 means, okay, I'll show you. So this is my point P1, this is my point P1, and this is my point P2 now. Suppose if you are using this move instruction, move P1 to P2, then the robotic arm, it may move like this or it may move like this, but it will never move as a straight line. If you want to move the robotic arm in a straight fashion or in a straight line fashion, you have to use this instruction, MBS. So this is for move instruction, right? This is for move instruction, and this is for MBS, right? If you are using MBS instructions, I request the participants, please mute your mic. Okay. If you are using MBS instruction, your robotic arm, it will move in a straight fashion. I'll change it to pointer. Another thing is override. Override is nothing but with the help of this instruction, you can control the speed of robotic arm, right? The movement, the velocity of a robotic arm, right? If override is 100%, then the robotic arm will move at 100% speed. If it is 50%, it will move only up to 50% speed. Another thing is the delay. If you want to introduce a delay, right, in between the point of operation, you can use this instruction delay. And MVC, which is used to create a circle. If you want to draw a circle, then you can use this instruction. And MBR is arc, right? To create an arc, we are using MBR. End is the end of the program. And H open, I told you, there is a pneumatic gripper is available. If you want to open the gripper, you can use H open or H open 2. H open 1 mean it will open the first gripper. H open 2 mean it will open the second gripper. And H close 1 means it will close the gripper. Halt, HLT indicate it is also end of the program. So what is the difference between end and halt instruction? If you are using end instruction, once the program is completed, again it will be repeated. So that is here, end. Suppose if you are using halt at the end of the program now, the program is only executed one time. The program will be executed only one time. The next time it won't be repeated. So that is the meaning of halt. And move P-safe. P-safe means the robot will go to initial position. Who will teach the initial position? We need to teach the initial position. So before the configuration of during the configuration of robot, you have to teach the initial position also. Okay, when the instruction is executed, the robotic arm, it will go to its initial position. Okay, let us see some of the programs which are used in the RV2FBQ series. So here I have created a program for drawing the line. Okay. So line one time, it means it draws a line only one time. After that, it will move to initial position or safe position. I'll show you. First, read out the instruction. Let us see the programming part. Move P safe. Initially, the robot will be in the P safe position. If it is not there, you have to move the robot to P safe position. Next, override. Override means whatever it may be the teaching pen and speed, I am setting the speed to 20%. Okay, the robot will move with the velocity of 20% speed. After that, move P1. From the initial position, the robot will move to P1. After that, the robot has to move P2. Move P2 means from P1 to P2, the robot will move. Once it is completed, once it reaches the P2 point, now again I am moving the robotic arm to safe position. So move P safe. Let us see that. So here it is a safe position. From the safe position, the robotic arm should move to P1. So now let us see the gripper. It is a vacuum type, right? It is a vacuum type tool. So P1 to P2. Once it reaches the P2, now again it will go to its safe position. Once again I play the video for you. It is a safe position. Now it is in safe position. From safe position, it will move to P1. So that's why the gripper or the tool, it will move to P1. It is moving to P1, right? From P1 to P2. This is the second point. After reaching the second point, the robot, it will again go to the move P safe. Since I am using halt instructions, the program will not be repeated. Suppose if I am using end instruction means the program will be repeated continuously, right? I would like to show the second program. Mitsubishi line. Here it is one time. Now I am going to draw the line for multiple times. Okay. So here I have created the program using RT Toolbox B. With the help of operating panel, I am going to run my machine or robot. So just look at the program. Just imagine that. Okay. These are the codings are available. Just imagine the gripper position in your mind. So move P shape. Initially the robot will be in the P safe condition, and the robot will move to P1 point with 20% speed. Initially it will come to P1, then it goes to P2. It takes 1 second's delay. After 1 second's delay, from P2 to P1. After 1 second's delay, again P1 to P2. After 1 second's delay, it will move to P safe. So how many times it draws line? First line, second line, third line. So 3 times it will draw the line, and again it will go back to move P safe. So let us see the operation. So here I have created the coding. You have to teach the points, right? X, Y, Z, and other points are there. R, C, P, other points, A, B, C is there. So you have to teach the point with the help of teaching content. P1 means it has some points. Initially, now it is in P safe condition. From P safe condition, it will move to first P1. So the third instruction is executed. P1 to P2. Next P2 to P1. It waits for 1 second. I think there is a problem in the video. Wait a minute, let me check. P1 mean you have to specify the position for all the servo motors. P1 to P2, P2 to P1, again P1 to P2. It will go to its original position, safe position. This is how the instruction is executed. Okay, this is how the instruction is executed. Now let us see how to draw the circle. Here I will teach you detail about how to teach the robot, right? Move P safe. There are only one instruction is used. One is a MBC. Move P safe means initially it will be in P safe condition. Otherwise, you have to move the robot to P safe. Override 40. It will move 40% speed. move P4 in between the working table and the robotic gripper. You have to take some other point. That's why I used here. You no need to pay attention to this line, right? You just concentrate this particular instruction MVC P1, P2, P3. Once it draws the circle now, it will again go to move P6. So why I'm using P1, P2, P3 now? If you want to draw a circle with the help of Mitsubishi robot, minimum you need 3 points, right? Minimum you need 3 points. That's why I'm using P1, P2, P3. So these are the 3 points, P1, P2 and P3. So once you execute the program, the robotic arm, it will move in the circular fashion. I'll show that, right? I'll show that. I'll show that. Please wait a minute. Circle. So here I have placed 3 points P1, P2 and P3. Ultimately I need to draw a circle. Here to draw a circle, minimum we need a 3 points. So put a robot in a jogging mode. Now the robot is operated in jogging mode. The robot is operated in jogging mode. So here I am specifying the point. Here I am specifying the point, right? So this is my point P1. So you have to move the robot at this particular point so that it will take the correct position, right? So this is my P1 point. I need to teach it. I have to inform all those things to my robot. So I am telling, hey robot, this is my P1 point. So please take that. How it will take? So I have placed the gripper on that particular point. After placing the gripper on that particular point or a tool on that particular point, you have to give a signal via the software. Get current position. You take that point as a P1. So get current position. You have to click in that software. Get current position. So if you click on that get current position, it will automatically take the X value, Y value, Z value. After that, you have to move the gripper or tool to P2 point. Once the tool reaches the P2 point, you have to again click on the get current position. That position will be stored in the P2. That is the meaning. The position of the robot that will be stored in the point P2. So after that, get current position. Again add P3, move the point or move the tool to P3 point. This is my P3 point. Okay. Then you have to click get current position. All the coordinates value will be stored in the P3 point. X, Y, Z and A, B, C coordinate systems. All those things will be stored in the particular value. P1, P2, P3 are the points or variables where you are storing the coordinates values or coordinate points. So once the teaching process is over, this process is called teaching. The pendant which is used for teaching is called teaching pendant. The instrument which is used for teaching, that is the teaching pendant, right? The black color box. With the help of that only you can teach your robot. Otherwise you cannot move it in auto mode. You cannot teach the robot in auto mode, right? Manually you have to put it, you have to teach it. Okay. If the teaching process is over, you can turn off that and you can release your hand from the back switch. Okay, now change it to auto mode. The teaching process is over, right? I am sure about my program, that's why I am changing the mode from manual to auto. And operation on, you have to turn on the servo. You have to turn on the servo. So once the servo is turned on, your program is ready for the operation. Now I am operating the machine from my system. Sorry, the video was captured in the wrong position, right? I'll correct it next time. Now I am running the program, right? So according to the program, my machine will run, the robot will run. Initially, it will go to P1, right? I have used the MVC now, it will move in circular fashion. Once again, let us listen to that. If you go a on signal or on command, the program will be executed. The robotic arm will move in a circular fashion based on the point P1, P2, P3. So logically, you have to choose the point P1, P2, P3. Randomly, you should not choose P1, P2, P3. And this is a one more program. The robot, it will give a rose or it will welcome you, right? So these are the codings I have written. I have used only the simple instruction, move instruction, MVS instruction, override instructions, and delay instructions. And here you can see H close and H open. It means I am controlling the gripper. I am controlling my gripper with the help of these instructions. H open and H close. Right? Let us see that. I think the audio is not, it is not audible, right? So anyway, I'm explaining about the type and its construction and the access, right? It will be only 1 minute. So I have written the coding using RT Toolbox 3. So here I have already taught all the points, right? So here I have used approximately 8 points, right? I have taught all the points. So this is my robotic position. Rose is there, right? The robotic arm, it will move there and it will go to that particular point, or it will identify the destination point. It picks up the rose. So it gives the rose, right? So it is one application. Another thing is the pick more. It means pick more pieces. Let us see that. So there are the 3 pieces are there. The robotic arm, it will go there and it will pick up the metal piece and it exactly paste it on the center of the Mitsubishi logo. Similarly, the gripper, the robotic arm, it will move near to the second object and it will pick up the metal piece and it will place it on the another part on the side of the Mitsubishi logo. Similarly, the third thing has happened. Okay. So it is a simple pick and place application. If you want to open and close the gripper, you need to use the instruction H open to, H close to. H open means the gripper will open. Once it reaches the particular metallic part, now you have to execute the instruction H close to. The gripper will be closed with the help of pneumatic, and you have to move the robotic arm from that particular point to your destination point. And another thing is the material handling. The video was taken during the students training program in our institution. So there are 2 glasses are there. This metal piece, the robotic arm, it will place the metal piece in this particular glass one, and the second metallic piece are the workpiece that will be placed in the second glass. If the air is not sufficient, you have to turn on the compressor. Always you have to maintain the proper air supply. Exactly, it places the metal workpiece on the glass. Another thing, one more thing is that, okay, pick and place operation, same pick and place operation, we have taken it as a video. Here it is called pallets. So I am doing jogging operation here. So it is a palletizing operation. I told you no, sir. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me, and I will continue about the controller types. Dear professor, if you have any doubt so far, you can ask me, or you can type it in chat box. Okay. Okay, let me continue. So here I told you now this is a control panel, the actual view of a control panel. The red color indicates the power supply. We are used as Q61P type of power supply. And the first CPU or PLC, it is a Q17-2D RCP. It is a robotic CPU. And second CPU is a Q CPU. It is a normal PLC or Q series PLC. Here all the control switches are connected here, right? It is a digital input model and digital output model. In Mitsubishi, they are mentioning the digital input model with the name QX80, QX80. It means it is a 16-point digital input model. You can connect 16 input with this particular. Some wires are taken out from the model now. All the push buttons and switches and selector switches, those are connected in the digital input model. So on the working table, I have shown on motor, right? It is, I have mentioned like it is for our project purpose. The motor can be turned on and turned off with the help of this digital output model. And here you can connect digital input, here you can control the digital output. The model name is QI40P. So PLC CPU which controls the robot based on the control switches, start, stop, reset, auto, manual. So all those things can be controlled here. And these are the items are available in our Mitsubishi lab, right? So we have a teaching box. This model is R33TB, and the main is a PLC CPU Q04UDV, and a robot, one more robot CPU is the Q172DR CPU. All the programs are stored in the robot CPU, and here also we are downloading a program in PLC CPU that based on the program, the control switches, it controls the robots, right? So here this is separate software which is used to program this PLC, and we have a separate software programming this robot CPU. There are two separate softwares are used here. How to avoid obstacles, distance, hindrance during the. How to avoid obstacles. So it is by programming, sir. It is by programming. Obstacles means you need a feedback, sir. Now it is a blind robot because we are teaching, right? So it is a blind robot register. If you want to make it as an automatic one or a obstacle or a hindrance path planning, now you need a vision system, right? It requires a feedback. That feedback has to be applied in the program, and based on that program only it will do, sir, or it will act or it will operate. So here we need a feedback system. If you want to implement that, we need a feedback system. It may be a vision camera, sir. Otherwise, it doesn't know. Anyway, we need a sensor to sense the obstacles. Thank you, sir. And these are the mechanical parts are there. Okay, like that they have given. The cost of the robot is 34 lakhs, 29,009. Approximately it is 34 lakhs. But here they have mentioned the optical cable, right? And solenoid valve whose value series, and they have mentioned the cable, right? MRJ cable, MRJ3 bus. It is an optical cable. So with the help of the cable, the robot CPU that is connected with this controller, CR751Q. So I'll show you how to create the program for this PLC, Q04UDV PLC. I told you, sir, there is a separate software for robotic CPU and there is a separate software for QCPU. Okay. So if I press the emergency button, the power supply should be cut down, right? How it happens? Because of this CPU, Q04UDV CPU, the second CPU which is available in the, or which is present in the control panel. I'll show you that, sir. The software name is GXWorks 2. So here you can type GX. Please wait a minute. It is available. GXWorks 2. For teaching the robot and creating a program like move P1, P2, we have a RT toolbox software. If you want to control the robot using a start, stop, emergency button, and all those things, we need a separate programming software, that is the GXWorks 2. So here you have to go to project and new, project new. So here you have to select the CPU. Where I am using Q04, right? So for example, suppose I am using Q03 UD CPU now. So it is Q04 is available. Q04 UDH is available. You can select the CPU or PLC series. So I'll try to finish the lecture within 2 to 3 minutes. So here you have to create the project. For example, I am starting the mission, right? So I am using X0. X0 is my start button. X0 is a start button, and X1 is a stop button. X1 is a stop button. So if I press the start button, my robot should be turned on. So the address of the robot is Y20 now. Okay, let us simulate that. Go to compile and build. Okay, go to compile and build, and one more thing is that I have to include the latching content. This Y20. So after creating the program, you have to compile that. Once the compilation process is over, you can directly simulate that. Since we don't have a practical controller with us, so that's why I'm putting it in simulation mode. So these type of ladder programs are which are stored in the PLC Q04 PLC CPU. So whenever I press the stop button, the start command that will be given to the robotic controller, that is Y20, right? Whenever, that's why it is on, right? The blue color indicates it is in on condition. Whenever I press the stop button, the start command will be disconnected, right? It means stop. Start is not there, automatically you have to assume there is a stop command. The command will be disconnected or withdrawn, right? So this signal, it may go to your robotic controller. So based on this signal, the servo motor J1 to J6 axis servo motors are controlled, right? So there is a separate software for creating the program for Q04 UDE CPU. That software name is GXWorks 2. Right? If it is an robotic CPU, now we need to use RT toolbox C that was demonstrated by Mr. Muttappa sir on the first day of the session. Right? So that's all about my part. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. So do you have any query? So we have posted the feedback link in the chat box. So kindly fill your feedback. Okay. Do you have any query? You can ask me. Okay. Thank you, Professor. Thank you for attending our session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mon sir, for delivering a wonderful lecture on that configuration and demonstration of industrial pick and place row bound using RT toolbox. So definitely you gave an excellent demonstration on that industrial pick and place row bound. I hope definitely this session will be very useful to the participants. Once again, thank you, Mon sir. Participants, session 2 feedback link is posted in the chat box. Kindly fill up the feedback form. Session 3 will start by 2:30 p.m. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.